Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Pitch. Season 1, Episode 4. It's called The Break. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Now, full disclosure, we may have recorded half of this review before and realised we weren't recording, so
It's his fault.
you can see, we don't literally have a red light, but the equivalent of the red light that says recording, you can also see, so I'm also blaming you.
It's somewhat fair, but alternatively, it's your fault.
Uh-huh. Connor, we were discussing that we enjoyed the episode, but it was probably weaker in the last couple, mainly because the main storyline with Ginny and her mother was not as captivating or interesting as the last couple, which her mother comes to visit in present day, but we get flashbacks of her sort of trying to make Ginny more of a girly girl when she's like 13, 12, that kind of age. Buying her a dress, getting her earrings and her ears pierced. And it's about, Ginny as a kid, like making these decisions about what she's into. And I was talking about how I was really worried about a scene where, her dad like catches her looking at a dress. And I was like, oh god, are we going into like proper militant father? No, you're a baseball player. You don't do dresses. You don't.
Especially as we've seen kind of hints of that already, like in previous flashbacks.
And I was very worried about it going that route because I still find him kind of sympathetic for the most part. And this would be like him going out of that realm and being this like, over domineering father. But they handled it fairly well because he came in and he said, look, if you want to do this kind of stuff, fine. But you can't be a baseball player and do that. So the choice is yours. And he does give her the choice. And, of course, Ginny... Actually, we see her scene over at school looking at the other like kids and kind of wanting to be normal and wanting to be someone who goes to the dance and does all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we see ultimately the trigger for her and why she doesn't... Or because she almost runs home to her mother and is going to ask, like, at least you assume she's going to say, look, okay, I want the dress, I want to have him be a normal guy.
That's how it plays.
Yeah. But she catches her mother in a very sort of incriminating situation with another man, cheating on her father. The same man, I believe, who she's dating in present day. And we already seen her in present day claim that she's only been dating him for a year.
Yeah, but that was also a bit awkward. She was like, oh, yeah. And he was like, well, I was only getting divorced a year ago, so a little bit later than that.
Yeah, but she's like 13 in this flashback.
Yeah.
It's been like a
But
decade.
I think that also sets up that he was cheating on
His
someone
wife,
before
yeah.
he got divorced as well. I think that's what the implication there was.
Yeah, absolutely. But it all, like, you kind of buy why after that she sides with her father. Like, why she's like, no, for everything he is, for maybe he is too aggressive with this, maybe he has too one note in the sense that he just wants this and nothing but this for her, he's not dishonest about it. He's not...
Yeah, he's got the moral high ground, hasn't he?
Yeah. Sure, he's passionate, maybe to a fault, but it's all honest and it's on the up and up, as it were.
Yeah.
So
Also, I thought the flashbacks were a little bit clunky again this week. Get like the transitions. They weren't as bad as the first couple, where they had the actual line of dialogue that like transitioned into it.
there was one that was quite good. I thought the one where she's knocking on the door for her mother, and it like
that one was good.
It
But there was a
transitions.
couple. I think it was the one maybe when they were in the restaurant was really clunky.
Yeah, because she sort of stared for a while. Like, it was a good 5 seconds of staring before it went to the
Yeah,
flashback.
and then it does that flashback sound,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, okay, that's what that was meant to be.
So yeah, the main story wasn't as great, and she kind of patches things up with her towards the end. I did like that Jenny did not bring up that she knew about the affair.
Yeah,
Like, you kind of get the idea that she figured that she's going to cause more conflict and make her feel terrible. And
yeah, it's kind of let go.
yeah, it's like, maybe 5 years ago, sure, but
Also, in terms of the baseball side of things for her, I liked that she didn't just succeed.
oh no,
Weirdly.
she did terrible.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Like, she's not just amazing no matter what. She was up against like because he was the leading batter, right? That's what they said.
Yes, they were acting like he was the best batter in the entire game.
Also, speaking of, what is the teams of this All Star? Because I'm sure they said
Oh,
Americans and the Nationals, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
oh, is this something I know that you don't? Oh my.
Oh yeah, yeah. Please enlighten me.
Okay, right. So there's actually two baseball leagues in America.
Is this kind of how like there's rugby union and rugby league?
I don't know anything about rugby, so I can't say. But there's two leagues in America made up of their own sets of teams, right? One's
Right.
from what you just said, one's American, one's national, right?
Yeah, I got those names, but I'm like, hang on, there's
Right.
two different
So
things.
their own separate leagues. So in the All Star game, which is a game they play in, I believe it's the middle of the season. It's like a sort of break they'll have in the middle. But the All Stars are basically all the best players from each league, are chosen in for
Yeah,
this
I
game.
got that. I was
Yeah.
just like, hang on, where are these two teams coming from? Like, I didn't understand what the two were.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, it's not something I needed to understand, but you know,
yeah. And it's treated like this big thing, but I do believe it's also kind of meaningless in terms of like it doesn't contribute to leagues or anything like that, or like
yeah, it's just like a event thing.
yeah, it's like a big event they do every year
Yeah, makes
to
sense.
celebrate the middle of the season. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I like that too, and I actually not to cut into Mike's story, but the jokes he was cracking at the end about do you hear that sound? That's your home run hitting like landing and whatever.
Bouncing off my satellite, I
Yeah,
think
that
it
was the
was.
second one. That was a really good one.
Yeah,
But nah, I liked him. Do you know what I like about those two like becoming really good friends, and it feels like they're becoming really good friends, is that it's setting up that even if he goes down this broadcasting route, like sooner than we think, that he'll still be a big prominent character in the show because he'll be there as a friend to her rather
yeah,
than
like a mentor and
yeah,
stuff.
rather than
Also,
being on the
just
team.
while you mention him, I liked seeing his poster in the flashbacks. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I know we were told about it last week, but I got a chuckle when I saw it when it was the flashback in a bedroom.
that was nicely set up actually. That was really good.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, but other character storylines, which were mostly pretty good actually, I thought. Blip, of course, is also playing in the All Star game, but he wasn't thinking he was going to be. He gets called in like halfway through the episode
yeah,
because someone else has a injury, and he has this great scene with his wife Evelyn, where Evelyn's kind of disappointed that he's not going to Disney World with her and the kids, and he he doesn't like that she's kind of disappointed because it's such a big deal. Because this is his first All Star game. This is the first time he gets to do this. He talks about the jets flying overhead as they introduced him and all these kind of things, and he questions how supportive she is, and she goes into this fantastic monologue, which was very well acted, about all the things that she does for him, and a lot of things where, and don't get me wrong, you kind of like you could justify a lot of it by saying, okay, sure, yes, having to move whenever he changes teams and these various other things, okay, sure, it's a hassle, but at the same time, he's also bringing home millions of dollars. Like,
yeah,
your lifestyle in other ways is made up
yeah.
in a lot, but she's the entire time I'm on her side. Like, she
It
wins that
makes him
argument.
come across
Yeah,
as selfish
it does. Yeah.
for making a big deal out of this when it's something that she has to do every day, pretty much.
Yeah, and what I said as well in the the first take of this video was these scenes I typically I think they expect the men to always side with the man in the scene and the women to side with the women in the scene. Like they always seem to think it's going to go down that way, and I feel like here it wasn't that case. It was no, he's being selfish here and she's in the right.
Yeah.
And at the very least, I can't speak for all the other men, but at least we were on her side.
No, I think it was very intentionally portrayed
Yeah.
as nope, this is right and this is wrong.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get that, you're probably a bit selfish.
Yeah, probably. But of course, you still see her supporting him when they see him on TV, like waving during the introduction. She
And
still,
like I said before, him going there during that game, like after that, brave or stupid, not sure which, because I sure as hell wouldn't. I'd have been like, okay, nope, let's just go Disney World.
yeah. So they'll ask me next year. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, that's the point where you go, you know what? I'll take the personal sacrifice and I'll make it up to you and we'll do the theme parks. Not, I'm gonna go anyway. They all want the fire jets.
But he does rush back. He doesn't stay there for all the other activities. He rushes back after the game and goes back to
True.
because they mention they'll meet back in San Diego later, but he shows back up at the hotel room and
Yeah.
and he does have a nice moment where he describes the best moment. He's like, because earlier on he said this was the best day of his life when he corrected himself at the end when he's like, no, it was the day I met you, and he describes that story.
Yeah.
So no, I actually thought I think out of all the episodes, this has been their best storyline.
Yeah, I think weirdly, while I say I didn't enjoy this one as much because of Ginny's story, I felt like the others might have had some of their strongest yet.
Yeah, because likewise with Mike, who doesn't play in the All-Star game because his back's acting up and his knees are not doing so well. He is dipping his toes into something that he might be doing after he finishes playing baseball, and that is the broadcast side of things. That's the after shows and all that kind of stuff. And he tries it and spectacularly fails.
Do you know what? First time when they're all giving each other these looks, I was like, this doesn't sound that bad.
Well, do you know what the funny thing was? I thought it was fine for the first 10 seconds of it, but then he kept talking and he just kept going. Like he had so much to say.
Sure, but they were given the looks too early, I think.
Okay.
Because they were immediately going, okay, what? Dial it back. I was like, yeah, but it's fine. They were and their reason was, you can't give all these stats. It's like people might be lost. It's like, well, I don't follow baseball, but I still get the point.
True. But still, I do think he wasn't doing that well. Like, that was still clear.
Yeah, it got worse as it went on. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it started that badly.
However, I did love that, going back to that scene at the end between Ginny and Mike, where she's also ribbing him about his various issues, like, although he does give her a nice little speech when he finally when he's actually live on air and it's not the rehearsal, he ends up saying a really nice couple of words about Ginny, like when he just throws his cards away and just speaks,
which is kind of what they wanted in the first place.
Yeah,
like the rest of the panel.
And of course, Amelia's like helping him with all this, and they have some fun stuff as well when they both end up at the mother-daughter dinner, but they didn't realise each other were going, and they have to pretend that they barely know each other.
Yeah, it's amusing, but how long can they do that before it just becomes irritating?
Oh, sure. I don't see it lasting that long. I feel like it's already surprised me with how quickly they've done some other things. So I feel like I think by mid-season this will be
that's fair enough.
Knowledge. So that would be my guess. But no, I think that about sums it up.
I will say I liked the Oscars storyline as well. I feel like I'm actually getting to know him.
Oh yeah, Oscar, of course. He runs off to Amsterdam, even though he should be there for the All-Star game because their stadium is hosting it, and he runs off because he's trying to get this new catcher who's the hot stuff, who's eligible to be signed up.
Yeah, he's trying to poach this guy before everyone else.
Yeah. But a guy from the Yankees gets there first, and they can pay more because they're bigger, which makes sense because I'd heard of the Yankees before this show. I had not heard of the Padres.
I may not know much about baseball, but I had also heard of the Yankees.
Yeah, Yankees and the Dodgers. I'm familiar with the Dodgers.
Fair enough.
Maybe another one or two. Maybe I'd recognise them if I seen them again.
Is Chargers baseball or is that American football?
That sounds like American football.
Does, but see, the problem with the names of these sports is they all kind of sound like they could be either.
Sure.
Unless they could be either.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There's also a lot of them, which does not help.
That is true. I wonder how many teams are in each league.
You can look it up on Wikipedia afterwards.
No, I'm just trying to, because they're saying, we're the rep from this team, and it's like, well, does every team get a rep? Because if so, that could be a lot of players.
I don't know. Look up on Wikipedia afterwards. But yeah, so Oscar manages to convince this guy, and obviously this is another bit of drama for Mike, because Mike's like, oh wait, I'm being replaced now? And they actually awkwardly bring it up live on air while he's on this show.
Kind of his fault for ignoring the phone call. He could have had a heads up.
True, but it was 5 seconds till air.
It's true. It's true.
So,
Yeah.
But, and he convinces the catcher to come and play because he it makes it feel like more of a human pitch than just a here's as much money
Here's
as
money,
possible.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of told us more about him and told us about his sort of more poor background, and he sort of worked his way up, and how Al gave him a chance, and that's why he's got the position that he does now.
Yeah,
So
I understand now why he has this loyalty to Al.
mm.
That we've seen in the last few episodes, and sure, you go, of course, they've been working together, they're probably friends, but now I actually understand it.
Actually, speaking of Al, I did actually really love his scene with Ginny. Because she's like, oh, I'm going to decline to play in the All Stars because I don't feel like I've earned it yet, and everyone's looking at me funny before it, and he's like, and he describes like how he asked his wife out on a date and how she only said yes because it was like a pity thing because he'd been shot in the leg in Vietnam, and it was like, oh, I'll just go on a date with him, and he's like, yeah, and now it's been like 40 plus years and we have like 12 grandkids, so
Yeah.
you know. It doesn't matter if it's a petty thing at first, but go for it. I just like that story. I thought that was a really nice.
Yeah, it was. It was a nice thing because it was like just shut up and do it. Get out of my office. Go and do your thing.
Yeah, yeah. I've got more fancy dinners to have in the middle of the locker room, so go out there and
Exactly.
pitch.
Exactly. I don't know. Like I say, one of the weaker episodes, but I still enjoyed it. So it's a good sign.
Oh yeah, I'm really enjoying the show. Like I said this like last week or the week before, but it's very different from everything else I'm watching. We probably would have kept this as us as well had it not been on Tuesday night where there was 4 other shows already planted. But
Yep.
no, let's pitch episode 4. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. I'm sure people will correct us on baseball things, especially the stuff that I claim to know.
Yeah, please tell me he's wrong. That would make me so happy.
Oh, by the way,
even if he's right, tell me he's wrong.
By the way, did you see someone commented with an explanation for the bag?
Oh, what was it?
It's actually a lot more simpler than we were. I likened it that it might be like the chalk that weightlifters use, and it kind of is. It's basically it's full of stuff that they when she picks it up, she's like putting some of this stuff in her hand.
Oh, so for like grip.
Yeah, it's like grip. It's just like powder sort of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
Boring.
There was an exact word for it. I can't remember what that was, but that was the gist of it.
Why do they not just do that when they're back at the bench before they walk up to the mound?
Because they're out. Because they probably want to do it before like every few pitches, and they're out there.
Good point.
Yeah, because she can be out there for 10, 15 minutes pitching.
Like I said, good point.
Yeah. So,
All right, I'll allow it.
So, so Connor's an idiot. Let us know what you thought of us in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Thanks very much for watching. And do remember that I believe this show is on a week's break next week. I don't always warn you of breaks, but when I happen to remember that there's going to be one, or if I even know, because sometimes I don't know until the day the episode's meant to be airing, and it's like, what, this isn't on tonight? What? But it's on a break next week. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We will see you next time.